Yo, this BoneCrusher, and you're watching the Art is King podcast. Cash.
Well, thank you everybody for being here. All 500,000 of you.
Woo!
Yeah! I'm glad you made it your way over to our room and want to talk about expressing your creativity and your passion.
Yeah.
And even though the title says 2018, it's all about every day, no matter what year we're on, okay? Cool. So I'm going to take a moment and we're going to take a moment to introduce ourselves. And we're going to start with Kelsi, who has her head down a little bit. Don't try to hide. Oh, you got it. And then we're gonna move into Allyssa, and then Wayman, Fred, and then myself. And we're gonna talk about who we are, where we're from, what we do, and what are some of the things that inspire our passion, or what is our passion about. And then after we're done introducing ourselves, we're gonna move into the next step, which is they're gonna tell a story about when they had to channel that passion into creating something and how they did it with very little. So you have to go back to when you had nothing, when you did not have tablets, when you did not have computers, all you had was paper, you had whatever you had, and you started creating because that was your passion. And I know Allyssa has a story because we've talked about it before.
This is a trap.
And I have plenty of those stories. So we'll start with the introductions and then moving into our first question. And all along, I want you to think about yourself as that kind of person that has a particular passion, and maybe you have several passions. But whatever the takeaway is going to be today, it's going to be about how do you fuel that passion with what you have available with you right now. And it could be what you have available with you right now in your bag, in your backpack, or what you have at home waiting for you to create. All right? Cool. And then sometime before we're done, we'll do some Q&A in case you have some specific questions. And before you leave here today, come and see me. I'm going to give you a free sticker with my artwork on it. If you don't like stickers, you can just leave.
In general.
And then, yeah. All right, cool. So, Kelsi Jackson, please.
Hi everyone, my name is Kelsi Jackson. I also go by BG Illustrations. I'm from Decatur, Georgia, born and raised here all my life. And so I am a webcomic artist. You can find my webcomic called A Slice of Life on Tapastic.com under the name BG Illustrations. I am also just an artist, mostly an illustrator. I pretty much do draw people. I love to draw people, but mainly I like to draw African Americans, mainly women. I have an obsession drawing women. It's weird. To me, it's kind of weird. But I love to draw women in different, in an urban environment because I love the city life. I love urban, even for like greenish and all that stuff combined with the urban scape, that contrast. I like to do that. I like to put women in like action poses, like being badasses and stuff like that. So that's the type of artwork I like to do. And once in a while, you'll see me maybe do some random like cutesy-wootsy things or somewhere. But like mainly that type of art. Wait, what else was I supposed to talk about?
What is it? You're following the passion. What passion you're following?
Oh, okay. So my passion is drawing. That's pretty much all I do is illustration, whether I post it on social media or don't. I have like sketchbooks in my room full of drawings of people, sceneries, everything, because that's what I love to do. That's what I like to draw. And I have been doing that since I was born. I would draw everything when I was a kid, like animals and stuff like that. But me drawing people didn't start until like I got into like really focusing on the urban life and drawing like my black people and stuff like that until I got in high school. in college. And once I started doing that, I just could not stop. Like, it was an obsession. I had to just I couldn't draw anything else for some reason. And it was just, I don't know, it's just like something that I programmed myself to do. It's just because I've done it so often, it's just embedded in me now. It's all I do. When I'm like in the car just waiting to go to work, I'll just draw. I'll draw in my sketchbook on a sheet of paper. If I'm at a restaurant, I'll draw like these faces of Black women and their hair on like napkins and stuff like that. It's what I do. It's what I want to do for the rest of my life. I don't want to constantly keep working an 8 to 5 job. I don't want to do that. That is boring to me. Even though at the moment I am doing that, I'm in that road leading to being that artist that just draws all day. I'm trying to get there, but right now I'm just on the road, and me continuing to do my passion is going to lead me to that job where all I do is draw. All I do is draw Black women, badass Black women, and sceneries and urbanscapes and stuff like that. So,
Nice.
but yeah. Why?
All right, good. Thank you. We good?
Yeah.
All right. Y'all having over there a discussion. We want to hear.
I might punch Wayman one day.
All right, listen.
Hi, my name is Allyssa A Lewis. I'm an animator, recruiter, and consultant. I've been in television and animation for about 12 years. I'm most known for working on 5 seasons of FX's Emmy-winning series Archer. I won an Emmy in 2016. It's my first one. You know, still gunning for the other ones.
Yeah.
There's some series coming out. So if you're looking to get into television animation, please let me know. And you don't have to just be an animator. You can be an illustrator, character designer, voice actor. We just partnered with Bob Carter, who was here at MomoCon last night. So he's a part of my company, My Animation Life. This is my 3rd year at, or I guess, working for my own company. In studio life, it's kind of like a lot of jobs where you have a boss and they tell you when to come in and not to wear a bathing suit. But doing your own company, you can do that. You just decide if you want to upset your clients or not, and if you want to have those kind of clients that get upset with bikinis or whatever. So I've been doing this for 3 years. It's focused on employment. I really love it. I love working in animation on comedy shows like Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Animation Domination, Captain Planet, Planeteer, Movement. There's a whole bio on MomoCon. It's kind of difficult for me to like rattle it off, but just look at that bio. It has it on there. So a bunch of animation stuff, a lot of small commercial work. If you are trying to get into the industry, it can be really difficult. And I found that when I was getting in, it was difficult. I had some good breaks, and I'm fortunate for that, but I did see a lot of other people to my left and to my right who didn't get the same breaks. And so I loved working in television animation, but I had this kind of guilt of I'm here because I had a lot of people advocating for me. I had a lot of wins, and there were people who were still on the outside who were, not getting those same breaks. So I wanted to transition into employment and helping people get jobs. With my company, My Animation Life, that's what we focus on 100%. We've got 2 sides, a resource side where we do studio tours and mentorships and stuff like that, and we've got a staffing side, which is just matching artists with clients. And that's not just animators, the illustrators, the whole shebang. My education came from Savannah College of Art and Design. I did go to Wesleyan College in Macon, Georgia for about a year to study fine arts. And aside from that, that's the bulk of how I learned art. When I was in school, my parents wanted me to focus on athletics. As a Black person, especially when we did complexion, and my parents growing up the same way, they felt the only way you're going to make it in life is if you do athletics and if you do work like amazingly better than the people around you. And it was a big struggle with a lot of pressure. It made it difficult to be a kid when you're constantly worried about having to do so much better than everyone else. But I stuck to art, and that's one thing I'm really glad about, is because even though my parents were like, Learn to run faster. Don't you see those Serena sisters out there? You and your little sister, get a racket. I was still like, I gotta draw. I can't give up my dreams. And guess what? Mom and Dad can't run that fast. I'm terrible with anything that's coordinated, so no tennis for me. No softball. I'm not going to be the next basketball player. So sticking with my passion has really been an internal thing and catching a lot of big breaks. If you want to catch a lot of big breaks, you have to have an eye for them. So sometimes people have the opportunities in front of them and they just don't see it, they don't take advantage of it, and they don't believe in themselves. So that's where my passion lies right now. Employment services and keeping people pumped.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for joining us. So, yes, sir, Mr. Wayman.
Hey, what's up, y'all? My name's Wayman. I go by the Mad Penciler. I live on Instagram, so if you guys want to find me out there, that's what I do. I'm a tattoo artist. I'm an illustrator. I went to SCAD for animation. And it's kind of what we're talking about, the passion. So I worked on a couple of things, some TV stuff, Sleepy Hollow. I worked on Deadpool as a 3D artist, and just realized that wasn't my passion. I'm heavy into 2D illustration, and I draw with a blue pencil, and I always get asked what the blue pencil means. And you know, I like the way the pencil touches the paper. Like, you know, I'll do digital work too, but it's just something hearing the pencil like scrub that paper, and that's just part of the passion that I have for doing 2D illustration. I teach people how to draw. I just like what I do, and I've been fortunate enough to turn that into being able to get contract work, and again, also being a tattoo artist. I was looking at somebody say something on Instagram that as an artist, we put our energy out there in the universe, and that's a lot. But also as a tattoo artist, I put my energy back into someone as I'm doing that tattoo, and you're drained after that, but I still feel like a sense of accomplishment. I feel like that's my passion. So I appreciate Dan for allowing me to sit on the panel here and talk about my passion to you guys. So hopefully whatever I say may inspire some of you out there to continue on and do your passion as well. So, peace.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Steve?
Did you get my name?
Fred. No, that was good. Sorry, Fred.
All right. So I'm Fred Andrews. You can find me on everything: YouTube, DeviantArt, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at Art Biz Videos. So I'm also from Atlanta, Georgia, born and raised. I also went to the Savannah College of Art and Design, studied animation. I minored in sculpture. And while I was at SCAD, before I get to the past, while I was at SCAD, studying animation under the instruction and rules and restrictions of the teachers made me realize I'm not going to be able to flourish in a studio environment when I'm doing someone else's ideas. I need to be doing, in order to feel fulfilled and energized about my passionate ideals and projects, I need to be doing my own work, executing my own ideas. So immediately I started trying to cultivate a lifestyle that would, facilitate that process. So how do I wake up, do what I want to do for however many hours, and then, still maintain the daily responsibilities of bills, food, and cleanliness and all that good stuff. So what I did was I actually joined the fire department. So that was my hustle. So I'm a firefighter during the 10 days of the month, and the other 20 days of the month I'm a freelance artist, and that allows me to cover the basics and give back to the community. That's a good thing. But as far as executing my passions, like everyone else here on the panel, and probably many of you too who are interested in the arts, ever since day one, I was an artist. I actually grew up in an artistic home. My mother's an artist. She went to the Art Institute of Atlanta, and the house was always covered with art. She does a lot of abstract paintings and whatnot, and she'd leave her tools kind of scattered throughout the house. And, there might as well have been magic wands and, occult devices to me as a kid, like this T-square, some kind of magical weapon, So that kind of just got me sucked into it as a kid, and I would always ask her to, teach me what you know, and she'd always be too busy. But I still played with her stuff, and I was still drawn to it. You know, when you have a passion, it's something that you have to do, and whether you want to or not, it's just you're drawn to that. So I was bitten at a very young age, kept up with it, and exercised daily. You know, they say you have to do what, like 10,000 hours to become a master. I got those 10,000 hours in pretty quick, just because that was all I did as a kid, was draw. People ask me all the time, how are you so good? You just do it. You know, do it until you don't suck. You're gonna suck for a while, unless you're like a, you know, Michelangelo, who's doing masterpieces at like 12,
Or a Wayman.
or a Wayman. You know.
Lord.
That is
Little known
making
fact.
temporary.
Yeah, he's been tattooing since he was 6. But
Smoking cigarette.
and smoking cigarettes. But yeah, my perspective is no matter what you want to do, whether it's your own project, whether it's working for a studio, there's always some kind of angle you can get leverage on to do what you want to do. And you have to be creative and think outside the box to get that done and exercise your passions. You know, whatever you're doing repeatedly, like who was it? Aristotle, one of those guys said, excellence is not a trait or not a skill, it's a habit. So whatever you habitually do, you become. So there you go.
Nice. Welcome. Thank you. All right, so I'm Dan. Call me Dan the Man, DTM, Delta Tango Mike. But if you're going to cut me a check, I'll tell you my real name. Find me anywhere on the internet under Delta Tango Mike. I've been drawing all my life. And my passion has been to always draw, just draw. And for a long time, I've been telling the story that in the future, all I want is a big warehouse where they wheel in with a forklift a big pallet of paper and just drop it off on one side. And on the other side of the room or the warehouse, they bring in a big old pile of pencils and leave me alone all day, every day. And every once in a while, they feed me. Somebody feed me. And that's been a joke and a story that I like to tell until the day I actually got my warehouse. So I have my art studio where I draw, I paint, I do digital illustrations, I teach how to tattoo, and I've been fortunate enough to keep my talent, challenging myself with my talent so that I can grow into other areas. So not only do I do 2D illustrations on paper and canvas, I do it digitally. And I was fortunate enough to work on a couple animations, including one that's coming out later on this year. It actually found out that it was going to make it to the theater. And I'm not an animator. I never went to school. I never went to college, so I don't know anything about all the equipment and names and words that people use. And I don't care because my passion is to create and to produce. And I will latch on to somebody who knows a little bit extra more than me, and I will reach out to Alyssa many a time. And I will ask them questions, and they'll give me answers, and I will then go off and do and try that which they taught me. So that is where my passion comes from. I feed it every day, I draw every day, I post every day, and if you follow me, you'll get tired of me every day. All right, so now without further ado, let's go into some storytelling, because I want you to understand that how some of these artists got here in doing what they love to do. But they started with very minimal tools because that's how hard your passion grabs you, that you will do what it takes with whatever you have to do something. So while the other 3 panelists on that side think about the story they're going to tell, because I know I didn't talk to you about this. I didn't tell Alyssa about it either, but I know we have a story that she has told before. So Miss Alyssa, please tell us about that time.
So, y'all want to hear some struggle? Yeah! Yeah, we want to hear about your struggle. We want to hear about when it was hard. So, raise your hand if you had, like, struggle. And I don't mean like, mommy and daddy didn't buy me the Copex markers that I wanted. I mean, like, I can't even afford the stuff that will get me bare minimum. Like, I don't even know if I can afford to stop doing my daily grind to do my passion. Like that kind, real life, this isn't a game. I know art can be cute to some people, but I may not be able to do it. Like if you've had that kind of struggle, raise your hand. You too, panelists. Raise your hand. If it's been like, I can eat or I can, do my passion. And I've been there. I think right now about some of the wild stuff I've done to try to get ahead in my career. I wanted to meet Don's booth during his exhibit, and I didn't have a place to stay. I barely was able to, I hope you're not listening, family, hitchhike to the location I wanted to see his exhibit. I had to volunteer to get into the event, and then for me to stay the night after volunteering to see him the next morning, I had to like sleep on the floor of it was some apartment building's bathroom. Yeah, I like laid out all these paper towels and stuff, and then when I got up in the morning, I was like bathroom washing, glamorous, like, hey, how's it going? Yeah, oh my gosh, the hotel's wonderful, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I had a great time. I met a lot of people. It was during that gala exhibit that I met the creator of Captain Planet, Barbara Kyle, and I ended up working for the Captain Planet Planeteer Foundation, so it was definitely worth it. Yeah, so don't do that unless it's worth it, because it's kind of gross. So the struggle story Dave was talking about is me getting into animation. So I went to school, big fancy art school, Savannah College of Art and Design. It's really glamorous. Has anyone heard about it? Yeah, like everyone's heard about it. It's one of the top schools in the nation, definitely one of the top schools for animation. So I scraped and, hustled my way into school, but then when it was time for graduation and leaving and all that kind of stuff, all that fancy, glamorous equipment and stuff that you get access to as a student, I did not have access to at home. I was not able to work on, a Cintiq at my house and make an amazing portfolio, which after you graduate from school as a student, you don't use that student portfolio to get a job. That's what you did to learn how to make a portfolio so that you can get a job. So now I need to make a portfolio, and I don't have access to a Cintiq. I don't have access to a computer lab with like awesome printers and awesome people who can tell me how to model this and that. The internet was, picking up, definitely. We had YouTube videos and stuff, but there just wasn't a whole bunch of resources out there. So I went back to the basics of animation. Fortunately, it's not an industry where you have to have the fancy stuff. Think about how animation first was made, about when it was experimental, the things they did to tell stories. So I went back to using paper and pencil, and I didn't have a Cintiq, but I did have light via the sun. And so you've done this before, right? Now you've done this before. Yeah, okay, good. Take a paper, it's real complex. You put it on the window. You take your pencil and you draw. Take another piece of paper. Make sure the sun is high, okay? That's important. You need a lot of light if you're gonna do a lot of pages. And I would draw over it. And that's how I would make this kind of traditional animation stories. Now comes the harder part. If you're going to wheel and deal and make your animation, you need to show it off. You've got one of two ways. You can either take that stack of paper everywhere you go and, come on! Oh, you missed the stack that walked through and try to show people. Or you can do what I did and head over to your local McDonald's. Go to the counter and ask for a kid's meal. You don't want the actual meal, you just want the toy. Because at the time you had a recordable device where you could put files on it, and it didn't have like little characters on it. Thank you. I actually found it, so I can bring that artifact back in that I used to put my demo reel on. But it held a video, and it only the one video, so I would have to get rid of it whenever I was done. So that was like the biggest challenge, was how can I show my portfolio to people? I did not have this smartphone. I had like the phone you can afford out of college. And the challenge that was under that came before it was, how do you record your animation? How do you get it scanned in? How do you line it up on a program? And how do you get it from the window to the McDonald's device? I did have my mom's phone. She would let me take pictures on it sometimes. So I would borrow phones and take the pictures and get the file. But I would send it to my email address, and I would go to the public library and then put it together. But if you've ever gone to the library before, okay, this is a millennium test. Hello, millennials. Have you gone to a public library? Oh, okay, yeah, you showed me. Okay, public library. The one I was going to near my house, you only get 30 minutes. So you're on there, you've got 30 minutes, you better know what you're doing, you better hit those buttons, you better open, save, close, and be ready for the next 30 minutes. And I would do those sessions back and forth until I got my film together and transfer it to the McDonald's device. Now today I could do that in a matter of minutes at home. I wouldn't have to spend, days going back and forth. I was also working 2 jobs because I had 2 people come live with me, and I had to pay not only for our entire apartment, but for their vehicles, for all our food, for all that kind of stuff. And it was kind of like just a tough situation. So I was working 72 to 80 hours a week. Still have a shingle scar on my back when the stress got too high. Yeah, but even through that, when I had my half one day off or whatever, I still did my stuff. And I want to tell you this not to be like, oh my God, she's such a martyr. But to know that you do have time. Even when you think that, you're working too hard, you've got too much on your plate, you're too overstressed, if you can just keep something that reminds you of where you're going, the little light that says this tunnel, has an end to it, you can go and, eventually, be a panelist at dance. Exercise your panel event.
Cool.
Yeah.
That was good. And what I like about that is that you know what you wanted. You had already had the training for it, but you did not have the tools for it. And that still did not stop you, because you wanted that job. You wanted to work in animation. So if you say you want to do something, then you got to get up and do it now. Do it now. Don't wait till you get that job to then start doing the work. And so whatever it took, and I never thought about those Happy Meals as having cool electronics we can use for other things.
You gotta be resourceful if you're gonna be
That's
successful.
resourceful.
Yeah.
That's
Oh yeah. Can I say that the whole while my parents were not going, oh, you'll make it. They were like, why don't you get a real job?
Yeah.
Where's all that money? There was that the ROI for everything we put in.
Yep. So who would like to go next? Who has a story to tell?
I'll go.
All right.
And I think for me, mine is a little different than the struggle, if you will. Like, I think, and I wrote some notes so I would make sure I said this right, but I think I was more naive than anything, right? So, at starting off, I wasn't trying to be an animator or anything like that. I just knew I could draw. And so I always had paper, I always had a pencil. So I didn't need to struggly find something, and I just constantly drew. Like, to this day, I'll draw, I don't know, anywhere from 8 to 10 hours. Even if I'm at the tattoo shop or wherever, I will draw all day long. And I think my passion, I guess, pushed me past the struggle, if you will. There was just, I didn't struggle for anything. So where Alyssa was she had to go to McDonald's and get the little viewfinder thing, I would work jobs or whatever, but I always had money to go to the art store and get a sketchbook and a pencil. And so just by drawing as much as I do, it just brought attention to myself, where people were like, hey, can you do a portrait of me? Can you do this? And so I would do that stuff. And then eventually I went to art school and learned those digital aspects of art and done some 3D stuff, but I still didn't struggle. I just felt like I didn't care what it was. Just as long as I could draw, I'm good. So I don't know if me not knowing the struggle is fair.
No, but you still put in the time.
Yeah.
You found ways to put in the time, no matter what lifestyle you were living. And of course, you're a parent, you were married, you raised kids, you were in the military.
What? You have kids?
And all along, you never let go of the art, though. You never let go. Even now that your children, and I'm telling this story now, sorry. And then a few years ago, you really focused really hard that you did all the things that society asked of you, and then you found the time when you said it's time for you to push all hard into this art thing, to the point that you're working out of a tattoo shop right now, several days a week, And
that's my mentor. So me and him kind of know like, each other intimately.
Intimately, and that's it. But that's the drive. That's the passion. That it never went away.
Right.
And it was constant. And now you're really pushing hard onto it. That's my story. That's your story.
Yeah, that's a story.
I'm used to talking a lot more than almost anybody except for Alyssa. I don't know. We might talk battle. So I can kind of put into words a little bit the thoughts that we have. Cool. Anybody? Who's next?
Go. My experience of the quote-unquote struggle, I think, is a little different as well. Just in my family in general, I was lucky in that everyone in my family supported my art growing up, because that was all I did. So everyone kind of got behind that. So everyone was always really helpful. I never had to go out and buy art supplies because that's all that everyone bought me for birthdays and Christmas gifts. I just got tons and tons of art supplies. So
you should draw better than we draw now.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. Yeah. Well, actually, that does kind of allude to what I'm going to talk about. But so growing up, I already had all the tools I needed. They gave me. I'd always have how to draw this books, and my mother actually. I don't know if any of you remember with this, but they had the little. If you can draw this pirate, you can join this school. This little advertisement used to be on TV.
They come to your house.
They did. They came to the apartment. Yeah. So I got on that. My mother paid for it, even though she couldn't afford it. So when I say I had a lot of support, I had a ton of support coming up. And when I got to SCAD, I got a I got a full-time job pedicabing. Have any of you been to Savannah by chance and seen the little guys on the bike taxis?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that for 3 years, 6 shifts a week. So I had the money from that to afford my computer, my Cintiq, and because I don't care about things like food and clothes and girls. So,
how muscular did your legs get back?
pretty beefy. I'll show you later on. I'm just joking,
Sir.
But
keep this PG, bro.
But no, I was extremely strong back in those days. I could run forever. Good times. But that was just one of those situations where, hey, I found I don't have a lot of skills. I'm a college kid, but I can go out here and hustle and make a little money and afford the supplies that I need to build my studio. Because I was looking for what am I going to do once I get out of college. Like you said, once you get out, you don't have Cintiqs and all these things for yourself. So I was grinding while I was in college in order to provide that studio when I got out. So my struggle has never really been external. Like I've always had a lot of support and been very fortunate in that sense. But the struggle I've always had to deal with, and a lot of people have to deal with, is the internal struggle. That struggle of I'm still not good enough. That imposter syndrome where you think like, yeah, maybe in about 5 more years I'll be good enough. Well, maybe once I do this I'll be good enough. And I've held myself back throughout a lot of my life because I was like just going to events like this and seeing all these people lined up along in the Art Biz. You walk around like, oh, my art will never be as good as this guy, or I'll never reach that level. It's comparing yourself to other people. You have to get to a point where you're confident and secure and at peace with where you are, and still promote that and push that forward. And then get to the point where, you recognize, number one, there's a market for everything, no matter where the skill is. 12-ounce mouse was the show. If any of you guys know about 12-ounce mouse, yeah, that was the show. So, a 3-year-old could have illustrated that stuff. So there's a market for everything. But I think my struggle has been more so just getting out of my own way, because I've had everything else kind of easy. And I'm finally starting to get to the point where, I got the confidence, I got the tools. So, and that's just, I don't know how you come out of that struggle other than just going through it and doing some psychological jiu-jitsu to yourself or something like that.
I know how you come out of it, but I'll add that in.
Also, finding mentors who can
There you go.
kind of push you along the way, and getting a group of friends who are in those fields who can inspire you, network, get you out of your cave, out of your head. That's good stuff.
There you go. Good answer.
Yeah.
Miss Kelsi.
So, I don't have it like a story actually, because similar to Fred, I had a lot of support, and I still have support right now. And just talk about people that support you, like let them support you actually. Let them let them make you feel good. Let them tell you that you're good, because it builds up your confidence so that you can go out into the world and do your thing. But all my life I've had that support. If I'm gonna say I have a struggle, it would be an internal struggle. I'm in my own way, because when I was growing up, I did art all the time, but I also did other stuff. I did sports, I went to parties, I hung out with my friends. I didn't really think about my future as an artist. I just was like, I just want to draw. Like, that's all I want to do, and just hang out and have fun. So I didn't really think about career until I got to, I started doing art classes. I took art class when I was in middle school and high school, and then I had my teacher, anyone has ever gone to Decatur High School, that's Key Thought. That's like one of my main supporters. She like told me, like, even though I wasn't good at drawing at that time, she encouraged me to keep drawing, supported me, even told me what schools to go to. And I was like, okay, all right, I'll go to art school, I'll go. I went to art school, had the same support from my teachers. They supported me all the way. They got me clients, they got me into galleries and stuff like that. But at the same time, even though I was getting all the support, I was still not in this mindset of being a true artist. Like, I will still miss my opportunities, and it sucks when you miss an opportunity. It hurts, because I've had plenty of opportunities to actually be like an assistant this was during, I think that was down in Columbus, Georgia, at the Columbus Museum, which is still a fantastic museum in Columbus, Georgia, in the middle of nowhere. It's still a good museum. I squandered that. I had the opportunity through my teacher, and because I didn't know what I wanted to do, or I was just like, I don't think I want to do that, I missed that opportunity. I was like, why did I do that? Like, why didn't I just go for it? So I was pretty much standing in my own way. And once I started to sit down and talk to my dad, because he was getting sick and tired of me not knowing what I wanted to do. And to this day, he's still like that. He's like, I've supported you up until this point, and I love you. I think you're a great artist, but I'm gonna need you to get a real job. And I was like, okay. So I went and got me a job, and I pretty much at this point, I work at Office Depot as a copy print, like copy and print. That's all I do. That's my part-time job right now. But when I started doing that, I was just like, still kind of like, I don't like this. I want to go into drawing. And so at this time, around this time, I met Dan, who is another person that supported me. And he's guided me so far. He's really believed in me, and see him work and grind, like, sparked something in me to really work, because he's living my dream. Actually, he's that artist that's living and drawing and just doing that. So seeing him spark something in me to get out my shell, to stop like hindering myself, and to move on and stuff like that. This won't happen to everyone. It might take longer for some people, but seeing someone in real life, like physically seeing them every day doing it, just sparks something in me to like, I really need to get off my ass and start grinding and get out my shell. So that's my struggle story. I'm still struggling to this day, but I'm getting through it. I'm living through it. I'm keeping people beside me that really support me, that really want to see me move on, because those are the people you want to keep next to you, the people that really want to see you progress and not get jealous of you. Because I've had people that that secretly wanted to help you but got something out of it and it hurt you too, and I was just like, no, that ain't gonna work. But definitely keep those people that want to support you and see you move forward and be successful. that's just one part of the trying to be, you know, successful and stuff like that. But for me, that's what's really pushed me forward.
All right, we're still writing that story.
We're still writing it
That's right.
until I die.
That's right. Well, then that's everybody, and that's all of us. That's all of us. And I think that what we're taking away from some of these stories is that we have passion is in all of us, right? This creativity. You get ideas, you get inspiration about doing something, and then you feel like, well, let me try this and let me try that. And I'm guilty of having inspiration at every corner. Every day I have something that comes across my mind, like, oh, that'll be an amazing drawing. But then I still have projects that I'm working on that I can't just follow everything I feel like doing. But it's that passion to see my work, to experience how I create something in particular that comes out of my own hands, that keeps me going, and then I have to learn to apply other things. Now I'm a full-time working artist right now, and it didn't just happen. People didn't just walk up to you and give you money. Some people will give you $1, $10. They'll give you money, but that's not enough. There's a movie called The Way of the Gun, and then somebody says, are you gonna take all that money? And he says, the other person says, money is what you take to the grocery store. And these are millions. And so that's how you have to look at, that's how I started to look at my passion in my work, is that, yes, I can do a drawing in exchange for lunch, and this is when I was in high school. I can do a drawing in exchange for $10, $20, $30, but if I want to make this a living, then it's gonna have to be a whole lot more money than that. And that's where my struggle came into play, where I have the passion, I have the talent, I put in the time, but then how do I make money off of it? How do I pay my bills with this, so that this is the only thing that I do and this is my actual job? And it's no secret that it's possible, because there's plenty of other art that we've seen that in our lives. Some of the stuff that you're wearing now, some artists made and inspired you to, by the cartoons that they made, or the comics. They did it and they live in it. So if there's artists out there that have done it and lived it, and you mentioned Michelangelo, is that what we said? Right? They lived it. They had patrons who paid their way in life. So they have done it in the past, and that means it can be done right now. I just need to know what is it that I need to learn to make that happen. And so here's a quick outline that I put together. The words may mean something to you. I know they mean a lot to me, but it's best if you try to find how that fits in your life. And number one, when following your passion, we all have that drive and that energy, but we have to figure out what's our process. And so it may mean that you find a Happy Meal with a toy that you can actually use to build your portfolio, right? That could be a process. It could be using the sun to draw and over and over and over the animations on the window, so that you can have an animation at the end of the day. It is no matter how many tools and materials Fred had, he still had to figure out how to use them. And so that's where the process comes into play. One quick story. Early in my digital career, it was only 4 or 5 years ago that I started getting deep into digital illustration. I finally got a tablet that I can draw. It was a Samsung Note 10. And those are pretty old now, and it wasn't the greatest, but it worked. It worked because it came with a pen that you pull out the side, just like the phone, the Note phone. This was a tablet, similar. And so you pull that pen out and you can draw right on the screen. And I was just learning my way, but I happened to have a client who asked me for a book cover. And I said to myself, well, instead of going the regular route, let me try this new process of using the digital tablet. And it took me a few extra days and more time than I normally would traditionally, but I wanted to figure out this digital drawing thing. And I put my head down and I worked on it, and I actually produced a book cover for a writer on this little tablet. And it worked. It's real. And so that became my process. Like, how do I go from the traditional process to a totally digital process, so I can have the work that I need to finish for a potential client? And all along, it was trying to figure out how to monetize and how to sell. It became then my goal became to find people who know more than me. And not just talented people who can teach me and show me some of their talent, but also talk about, well, how do you monetize your work? How do you build your entrepreneurial career so that you can make money with your art and earn? And that was the art business education that I had to have. And that's why we share as much as we can nowadays, some of our process and some of our career moves, because if we can do it and we can profit and earn through our art and our art lifestyle, then you can also if you really want that. Some of us just want to create, that's cool. But some of us want this art thing to be the only thing that we do, and that's it. I don't want to clock in somewhere, I don't want to sit in traffic anywhere. I want to just hang out, draw, laugh, hang out with other artists, and then say, hold on, let me send off this email so they can pay me online. That's the kind of life I want. So these are just a few little things that I wanted to tell you all about. And I want you to think about this. In order to stand out and be selected as an artist who can get paid for your work, there's some things that you're gonna have to work on yourself. Number one is confidence. Number two is gonna be finding mentors, finding other artists who can teach you things, who can tell you about the art business. And number three is get ready to stand out, because, and let's pretend for a second that in this whole room, everybody can draw the same, right? Or create something, right? If we're all talented, all of us at the same level, then and we go out for we put out our work for a particular gig, then there has to be a way to break down who you're gonna work with. And so the first thing that any potential employer or client's gonna look at is like, well, who stands out? And that's gonna be the loudest person. Loudest person who has some confidence, who's ready to stand up. And then, so let's say that half the room stands up. And then, so the potential client is gonna see, well, who actually stands up here in the front, is ready to show their work to the world, to everybody here in this room. And then, so half of those people actually make it up here to show their work to the world. And then, the actual people the artists who get the gig will be the ones who walk up on stage and are ready to tell about their process. And that's how you get noticed, that's how you get clients, that's how you show clients that you know what you're talking about and you're ready to do the work that it takes. So, I want everybody to give us some last words. And before I finish, I want to mention Artist King. We have a free meetup the second Saturday of the month at General Assembly. My wife and I, we founded this nonprofit because we wanted the world to know, artists to know, that there's a way to make money with your work. There's a way to monetize your career so that art becomes the one and only thing that you have to do in this life to pay your bills. Because that's how I'm doing it, and that's how we are working hard every day to make sure that we only spend our time following our passion. All right? ArtistKing.org. Mr. Matt Penciler, on the way over here, everybody's going to answer this one question. Besides your social media where we find you, if you could talk to your self of 10 years ago, what kind of advice would you give him?
So yeah, again, the social media stuff everywhere, the Mad Penciler, and that's with 2 Ds. And what I'd like to tell my earlier self is, and you guys too, like, just stay consistent. Like, if there's nothing else, stay consistent. Like I said, I have my me time in the morning, so I get up around 4:30 or 5, and I draw for like an hour or two, and just whatever. If it was a dream I dreamed about, or if I'm really big on anatomy, so and hands in particular. So if there's some anatomy that I just want to get out of my head or whatever, every day at 5 o'clock until around, I don't know, 6:30ish. I'll sit there and I'll draw, and then I'll go do some client work or whatever. And again, that has allowed people to notice, like, hey, he is going to post something every day at 7 o'clock. And so now clients are looking like, okay, let me make sure he's going to do it. And sure enough, I'll do it every day at 7. And then I'll post other stuff. But, and that's just in life in general, stay consistent. I mean, pay your bills on time. eat healthy, just everything, just stay consistent. That's, I think, would be my number one thing to tell my past self.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I remember this question. I don't know what answer to it last time, but for today, it's take advantage of opportunities. Whether just to see what it is, just go for it. It doesn't hurt to try. You know, you're not gonna lose anything. You just want to see where it's gonna take you. You know, so then whether it's like, you know, it doesn't just apply to art. It's for everything. Don't ever miss an opportunity that's given to you. So you can find me on. It's okay if I say my social media?
Yes,
Okay, cool.
please.
All right. Shut up. So you can find me as BG Illustrations on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Tapastic.com. So that's pretty much it.
All right.
All right. I could talk to myself 10 years ago. Number one thing I would say is invest in Bitcoin. But besides that, to kind of piggyback on what Wayman was saying, I think consistency is almost more important than quality, because the quality will come with the consistency. And I've had a problem in my time of trying to focus on one thing, to just make this one thing perfect instead of just bam, 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 on to the next. I'll focus on one thing instead of moving on. So I think consistency is very important, like you said. And so much so that, to kind of go back to the Aristotle thing of habit, you need to cultivate a lifestyle from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep and everything in between, where, like an athlete, to kind of go with the exercise thing, everything you're doing is geared towards that one goal of getting better as an artist, or getting that job, or, getting however many followers on your social networks so you can so you can get patrons on Patreon and, basically live off of that. Whatever your goal is, whatever your passion is, you need to cultivate a lifestyle that is conducive to that passion and that goal, and to making you level up, So that's what I tell myself. And you can find me everywhere at Art of War Studios. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, DeviantArt, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. And my name is Fred Andrews. Thanks for coming out.
Word up.
If I could tell myself anything 10 years ago, I would tell myself to take more public speaking classes, to learn how to negotiate, how to network, and how to interact with human beings. I know you've all had experiences with large amounts of people if you've gone to primary school, or if you've watched YouTube and you follow a YouTuber. If you find someone who's charming, or someone who has something dazzling about their personality, they can go a lot further than someone who doesn't. Like Dan said before, someone who stands out. If we all had the same skill level, then the person who was most dazzling, or could use their words properly, or could convince people to sway one way or another, would get further ahead. In this world, we don't have the same skill levels. I know I'm not the best animator, I'm not the best illustrator. I don't get up every morning and work on my craft, that's my own fault. I work on it when I feel like working on it. So I have to accelerate in a lot of other qualities. I'm not going to beat you in the drawing game, I have to beat you in the talking game. I have to apply the convention before you do. I have to write so colorfully that they will pick me over you even though you're better. I have to fix my hair in the morning and make sure my clothes are ironed and pressed, that I did shave my eyebrow, that, I wish I could slay in makeup and that kind of stuff. But I have to do what I can do to make myself at least appear to be better than the other person. And that's what everyone is doing. So the person who's drawing really well, maybe they draw super, amazing, but they're terrible to work with. You have to choose your strengths and really hone in on that. And if I could go back and say that, hey, Elisa, you have a lot of skills, but it's not going to matter if nobody likes you. If nobody says, oh, I really want to be around that person or be associated with that person, it doesn't matter how good you are. Because there are plenty of people that you know in your own life who are really talented, but they're shy and they would never come out, they would never apply for anything, and so they don't really have anything. And that could be you easily if you, 10 years from now, tell your own self, like, hey, I wish I had at least faked it until I could make it. Who is it, Morgan Freeman, who says if you can't fake it until you make it, take some acting classes? Yeah, there's improv classes, and I know there's an improv session going on here. Take improv, take acting. I have autism, I have Asperger's. I know you can't tell now, but I had a lot of communication issues growing up, and I'm really glad for the people who did, get into my life and tell me, hey, this is why you're weirding people out. Or this is why people are angry, or that's why this is funny. That was really helpful. And now, there are so many resources. If you find that you're in a situation where people are constantly upset when you speak, or they constantly walk away, or you lose your audience quickly, use those resources. Do yourself a favor and become more likable.
All right. And we can find you at My Animation
You
Life.
can find me at myanimationlife.com. The quickest way to reach me is via Facebook. I love Facebook. I know I'm totally old. I still love it. I am on Instagram. You go to instagram.com/myanimationlife. We have a YouTube, which I'm trying to kick up more. I have my personal YouTube channel. That one is like struggle heavy, so I'm not going to give that one to you today. But if we become friends on social media, I'll give it to you. Go to My Animation Life on YouTube. My Animation Life on Facebook. We're most active when we say our events. Basically, if you have your own struggles or your own issues with getting into the industry, some sort of roadblock, whether it's internal or external, please let us know. I'm all about career services. So if you need to know where to find a job, who to talk to, or whatever. And I did say that we're working with Bob Carter now. I'm so excited about that. I'm going to be saying it. I'll be saying that more when I talk about the Emmy. Yeah. Excited to put that in there.
Cool. All right, so you can find me at Delta Tango Mike. It's Delta Tango Mike. Check out also Art Is King _ATL. And that's where we put a lot of resources that we find that apply to artists and creators. Any kind of grants, classes, and workshops that we find, we kind of share them with the world because we want artists to find all the opportunities they can to succeed as an artist. Check out our Vector Maestros. Vector like Adobe Vector artwork, Vector Maestros. And I'm on YouTube and Instagram, and I share a lot of art tutorials when it comes to digital art and drawing on Illustrator, because that's one of my #1 tools that I enjoy very much. I teach every month at General Assembly, and I share a lot of tutorials online because I like it. So check me out. What I would say to myself 10 years ago would be to focus, because I have a lot of creativity. I'm always have a lot of creative energy, and things inspire me. Things that I see here today, the people I know, they inspire me, and I think of new ideas, and then the old ideas get kind of shoved to the side. And I have to be able to finish one project before I move on to the next. And I'm having a real hard struggle with that to this day. And I intend to get better, and I intend to make 2018 the year when I finish things and say, okay, at least I did that. So that would be my words of advice. And when Alyssa said, fake it till you make it, it's real. But don't get caught up in just the faking part, because a lot of artists get caught up in the faking part, and then when it's time to make it, they fall short. So be prepared to make it. And the best way to make it is to stay consistent and get into that lifestyle where you're practicing your craft constantly, and you get better and better at it. And it takes you less and less time to produce that thing that you're getting good at. Because the day's going to come when someone's going to offer you some money, and you're going to want that money. It's going to be worth it, but then you're going to have to produce that which you've been working on all this time. So that's all the last words that we have to say right now. We're almost out of time, so we're going to close it. Give a hand to we're going to do the Q&A. Sorry, Q&A. Yes, ma'am. The nonprofit is Art Is King. ArtIsKing.org. Yes, ma'am.
Hey everybody, my name is Michelle.
Hi,
Hi,
Michelle.
Michelle.
I have a So who up there is an introvert? And if so, what have you been doing to try to get that out of your way? Because sometimes introversion can get in your way from making money and describing your career. What did you do to get out of it?
I can go first with just one word: meetups.
Meetups?
Yep.
Meetups are groups that get together on a particular subject all around the city. Go to meetup.com and find your creative passion in there, and you'll find a group. Go ahead, Fred.
And once you go to one of these, you kind of got to get out of your shell. You can't just be a wallflower. But I mean, you know, at least puts you in a room of people with like-minded interests, so you have something to talk about.
Yeah, I would like to add to that. Don't be afraid to fail in front of people. I know a lot of times it's difficult to gauge if you're doing well, and a lot of times if you're in your head, you're constantly thinking, oh, they don't like me, they're not going to want to talk to me, or that person's most likely to talk to me, and they're busy, and you've got all these like reasons as to why you're still in the back of the crowd. You need to decide how important it is for you to be successful. Write your reasons out. Know that those reasons are strong. If you don't have strong reasons, it's really hard to push yourself. So get a good idea of why you're there, and then if you're in front of someone and you fail, you know, they walk off, they don't want to talk to you, whatever, they look you up and down, then yeah, you failed, and you have to just swallow that and go again. But you can never stop. There's been times where I've given talks and just been crying. Like, I have friends who still remember those, like, hi, I'm giving you a talk, and oh, I'm crying in the middle of the talk, and I'm stopping and wiping and then coming back. But one thing I'm proud about is I never walked off that stage. And that's what you have to do in front of people, is even if you blunder, just don't stop. You're only gonna get better.
So desensitized.
Yep.
Yeah. Thick
Yeah.
skin. Thick
Yeah,
skin.
I think you should just jump into it because I'm on that borderline of being like that. I'm still a quiet person actually, but when you get me riled up, I'll really start talking. But because of my passion, my love for art has put me into these scenes where I go to galleries and exhibits, and I was like, I would mingle with the people, even if it was just one or two people throughout that hour, 2 hour long, you know, exhibit. But every time I went to these like exhibits or met these artists, I started to really kind of get out my shell and really be more expressive, because they had ideas and I had ideas, and I really wanted to like talk to them about that idea and really see what they had to think. So because of just getting out there and mingling, and you know, has kind of brought me out like a little bit.
Nice. Anybody got any questions? Yes, sir.
When you're for everyone, when you're working like a 9-to-5 job that you don't really like, and do you ever find yourself in a rut of like people working on the same drawing for like weeks on? Have you ever found yourself in a rut or anything?
Have you ever found yourself in a rut while you're still working that 9 to 5?
I was once working on one picture for 9 months, so 220 hours. So I mean, yeah, if it's worth it, then just keep working on it.
But it wasn't a bad thing. You didn't feel like
it wasn't a bad thing at the time. But I mean, that's where I say I had the problem of getting too caught up on one thing because I'm a perfectionist. And what Alyssa just said is very important. Don't be afraid to fail. If that project is a failure, and it's not coming like you want it, scrap it, move on, or shelve it, and move on to the next project.
Now,
keep on moving forward.
When you're working on something, like he's saying rut, so when you say rut, or is it like you just don't want to draw anymore, or is it something you can't?
Lack of motivation.
Yeah, so I'm thinking he meant.
Wow, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not feeling it. Take a break. Find it hard to get back.
So what I tell folks, and for me, like I said, I like a lot of anatomy. I like a lot of really detailed work. And when I'm in those ruts and I either don't want to do it, and I know I got to force myself, because one, I can't tell a client I'm in a rut. Like, there's a deadline and I need to get that money, so I'm gonna have to get out of that rut really quick. And I'll draw something like the Flintstones or like the Jets, something really easy so I can get that juice flowing and like shake off that crud or rut that you're in. And then it usually kicks me back into like, okay, now I could work on these storyboards again, because storyboards kind of get boring if the story isn't exciting. So you kind of get in that rut, but kind of get out of it, and money will motivate you to get out of that rut too. So.
Yep. And anytime you feel motivated and uninspired, let me know. I'll come to your house and grab all the art materials, and I'll bet you'll think of something to draw right then and there.
Don't let him come to your house.
No, I will teach you how to use your stuff. All right, anybody else? Yes, sir.
I was just gonna say what Alyssa said, to keep your focus on your goal. That'll help you as well. You know, if you keep that in your mind and you picture it every day, it'll help you push through those ruts as well.
Can I piggyback on that?
Yes.
Life is life. Don't let it stop you. It's all about your mindset. And you have to move forward. You know, just do it. Just like, whatever, move forward.
Or do you think that your job is burning you out? Because that could also be a part of it. You have a job you don't like, maybe you're not meeting the expectations you have in life, but anytime your life doesn't meet where you think it should be, no matter what it looks like, you're not going to be content. And I feel like that could be leading over into your art. Maybe you should shake things up, you know, start gardening, take a walk, hike. Something that's gonna, shake off what's happening at work. Because it's getting to a point where it's affecting you.
I just want to add one more thing. Like, y'all heard where I work, right? I said copy and print, right? That job sucks. All right, I hate those. It sucks. All right, I'm sorry. Yeah. So I know how you feel. So what I do is, like I did this weekend, I took 4 days off. I was like, no, I'm not doing this. You have to literally take time off work, because if you let something that you don't like take over you, it's just gonna it's gonna get you depressed, and it's just gonna, and it sucks. It hurts, and you don't want to feel that way. So take time off for yourself.
Take time for yourself.
Garden, do things for yourself. Like I say this to my mom. She's been working for 40 years with the government. Same thing with her. Same struggle. No matter what age you're at, you have the same. Everyone has the same experience. But you need to learn to take time for yourself.
Very good. We had a last comment. Did you want to say?
I was just going to contribute to that. Yeah. One of the things that I find really helps me with anything is to look up something that inspires me, that reminds me why I love it. So I will look up an artist and be like, oh yeah, that's why I want to do this. Or like when I'm actually trying to study Japanese, I will watch vloggers in Japan and go, that's right, that's why I want to learn this language that's driving me insane. Or like if I don't want to clean my house, I'll watch an episode on hoarders on YouTube, get halfway through I want to clean now. I thought I was the only crazy person who did that. Yes. So watch somebody or something that brings back oh yeah, that's why I want to do this.
Yeah, you got to remember what inspired you in the first place. And there was a time when I got burnt out. I was doing tattoos, I was doing websites, I was doing logos, and then I was just burnt out. I just did not care to do whatever people were asking me to do, and I quit. The good thing is I had a little cash to save up. But I quit, and I said, no, I'm going back to pencil drawing. Like, I'm just picking up pencils and paper, and I'm not doing anything else, and I don't care if people pay me or not, because I need to find that thing that got me here in the first place. What started me off into my art? Yes, you were going to say something? Yes, and then we got a question over there, huh?
I really need your help. I have a 12-year-old who has gone crazy with art. So the issue is, it would be good if she was good at one thing, but she's like good at war makeup. She's like good at drawing. She's like good at makeup art. She's like good at photography. And now she's like, she plays cello. So as a parent, I'm trying to figure out which way to send this child, and I'm clueless, and I have no idea what to do.
Yeah, that's going to be a long conversation because it's going to take experimentation. And it's good that you're showing that type of aptitude now. But yeah, there has to be a process where there are chunks of time, weeks at a time, where she works on one particular, with a project or with a school, with a program. So then she can get that burnout and be like, yeah, that was cool, but I think I'd rather go try this other thing. And then eventually you find But it's good that they're trying this stuff out when they sell at home and you're paying the bills. Because it's hard to experiment when you gotta pay your bills and work and then do the experimentation. But we'll talk. We also have an Artist Key for Kids coming up June 2nd at the library in Kirkwood. So we'll talk some more. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to thank you guys real quick for talking about sharing your art and how that can, creativity, no matter where you are, what the medium is a very interpersonal thing. And using that as a platform to boost yourself up and to show people is great, very appreciated.
Draw more.
Draw more.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, sir. All right. That's it. Let's give our panelists a hand. Thank you very much. Follow us on the internet and come and get a sticker.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.